Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a story that is absolutely blown up online, and we're putting it under the microscope. We're going to reverse engineer the secret formula that makes it so ridiculously addictive.
Okay, let's just dive right in. The whole thing starts with a modern civil engineer who wakes up inside a fantasy novel he just finished reading. And his new motto in life? Well, it's a little less for the king and a whole lot more for the profit. This one line right here, it sets the stage for all the calculated brilliant chaos that comes next.
So you gotta ask yourself, what makes this story explode when so many others just fizzle out and die? Well, it's not magic, it's architecture. The entire narrative is a masterclass in engagement, and we're about to lay out the actual blueprint for you. First, a little bit of context, because it's important. This story belongs to a massively popular genre called Isekai. The whole idea is pretty simple. A totally normal person gets zapped into a fantasy world. It's the ultimate escapism, right? But as you're about to see, this story puts a very unique, very practical twist on that whole idea.
So let's meet our hero. And here's the thing, he's not the chosen one. He doesn't pull a magic sword from a stone. His superpower is, something you'd probably find on a construction site.
So our protagonist, an engineer from Korea named Kim Suho, wakes up in the body of this guy, Lloyd Fronta. And Lloyd is, without a doubt, the absolute worst character in the entire novel. Just a lazy, hated drunk. And this is the core of it all. On the left, you see the original recipe for total disaster. And on the right, our hero's upgrades. It's basically a hostile takeover of a failing human being.
Of course, every great hero needs a great challenge. And Lloyd's new reality? It isn't just bad. It is a meticulously scripted catastrophe just waiting to happen. I mean, the stakes could not possibly be higher.
You see, because he's read the book, he knows exactly how his new life is supposed to end. This isn't a maybe, it's a spoiler alert for his own death. His family goes broke, his parents are driven to suicide by the debt, and he dies choking in some back alley. It is a one-way ticket straight to rock bottom.
But here it is. Here's the twist. He refuses to play the part. He sees the script for his tragic life, and he decides to use his real-world engineering skills to just bulldoze his way to a completely different ending.
And this is where the story just hits the accelerator. We get to sit back and watch him apply modern solutions to medieval problems with incredible speed, turning his doomed family estate into a booming enterprise.
And just look at the pacing here. He starts out small, installing some radiant floor heating, but the progress just escalates like crazy. One minute he's fixing plumbing, the next he's beating a trained knight with a shovel, and then he's summoning a giant hamster to do his excavation work. It's totally absurd, and that's exactly what makes it so brilliant.
Yeah, and that shovel duel, it's not just a funny gag. It's the perfect example of the story's whole theme. See, the knight has magic, he's got years of sword training. Lloyd has a shovel and knowledge of modern military close-quarters combat, specifically how to fight with a bayonet. He uses leverage, posture, technique. He defeats raw power with applied knowledge. His brain is the weapon.
So why do we find this so unbelievably satisfying? There is a powerful psychological engine at work here, and it is absolutely worth breaking down the components that make this whole thing run.
You know, the secret formula actually has a name. I like to call it a knowledge arbitrage power fantasy. Now, arbitrage is just a finance term for exploiting a price difference in two different markets. Well, in this story, our hero is exploiting a knowledge difference between two worlds, and the payoff is immense power.
So first off, it hits that perfect underdog note. He's trapped in the body of a character that literally everyone despises. So every single victory feels monumental, because it's a direct shot at everyone's low expectations. It taps right into our own desire to prove people wrong. Second, it validates this incredible idea that being smart is the ultimate superpower. His power wasn't a gift, it wasn't magic, it was earned through years of hard work in his old life. It's a story that champions competence over destiny, and that is a seriously empowering message.
And third, the satisfaction is so tangible. You can see it. He isn't just winning fights, he's building roads, he's building houses, he's building businesses. We get to physically see the world change because of him. We see order being built from chaos, and that process of creation is just deeply, deeply gratifying to watch.
So, how can we turn all this into a repeatable formula?
When you boil it all down, you get a simple, powerful blueprint for creating a story that hooks an audience and just flat out refuses to let go.
Here it is. You start with a relatable underdog who has a niche, practical skill. Then you drop them into a super high-stakes world where that one skill suddenly makes them a god. Step 3, you show a clear progression of them solving bigger and bigger problems, creating a satisfying feedback loop of competence. And finally, you reward them, and through them, the audience, with power, wealth, and respect. It's a feedback loop that's almost impossible to put down. And this really gets to the core of the fantasy that this story taps into so well. It leaves us with a fascinating question. Just forget being a knight or a wizard for a minute. If you were dropped into a fantasy world, what modern skill would you use to build an empire? A chemist? A programmer? A project manager? Let that one sink in for a bit.